saw the plans for this aircraft in an old book that I had when making wooden toys, and it probably would have been just fine, but I always want to tweak things. So I started writing the putting the pattern down on the wood so I could cut it out, and then decided to change a few things. I changed the cockpit and sort of the front of the engine where the propeller mounts, and I'll call it an engine cowling. But beyond that, everything else is included here, and I will show you what I did. I have to cut these tapers in the fuselage as it gets towards the rear. So I took the piece that I cut off, I'll tape it onto there, so then when I cut it, this is nice and straight and flat and doesn't wonk all over the place. For the P-40, I wanted something to make the cockpit area stand out, so it didn't just look like a lump on top of the plane. So I glued in this piece of walnut, which obviously contrasts to, this is pine, very old pine. I threw some, it fit pretty well, but I threw some sawdust around there. Now I'm going to shape that a little bit. I'll probably cut this so that it matches up here. And then I'll just round this over, or start rounding it over. See how it goes. Now that's all I want to do. I'm going to figure out the final shape of there. I want to get started on some of the other parts so I know what to round off and what not to round off. This will get rounded a little bit more, as will this. Just want to make sure I don't mess up any of the other lines that I don't want to round off. You know, I try not to use a lot of wood putty, or in this case plastic wood, in my work. But sometimes it's just right. Ta-da! So these are the wings for the P-40 laid out. I guess you can see that. I just measured these out. I will, before I cut these, I'll probably take some final measurements and make a pattern for this. This is basically what's in the book. I shrunk it just a little bit. And then I probably won't even cut a lot of this. I'll just shape it on the sander, but I'll make sure these get written down. Cut one off each edge, so they are, hey, come on. They're the same. I'll have to do that. Now that these are cut, I can cut these out and blend them, and then I'll shape the wings. So a few parts. Here are the wheel fairings, is what they call it. They go on the wings for the landing gear. It'll be a dowel and then a mount a wheel to it. And then this is how I'm choosing to do this. This I'm going to call the cowling for the engine on the front of the aircraft. I'm going to shape that up a little bit around the perimeter and then glue it on and then drill for the propeller. And then, you know, we'll see. Sequence on this one is important. So I just cut out for the vertical stabilizer. I want to point out this piece of scrap that I cut off the bottom, this piece, I keep taping it on there to do sanding operations and to drill it or cut that out and all sorts of things. Don't lose that piece. It's actually very, very handy. Here's the landing gear for the P-40, and this is what I settled on. Now I'll cut this off, but how I made the wheels for this. So I drilled a small pilot hole that let me drill down with this. I didn't cut all the way through. The trick is getting everything centered. So I didn't cut all the way through. I just left it a little bit. I did this in the drill press so then I could use this Forster bit. All right. And then once I had that into the piece, I sliced it off at the bandsaw, right? So anyway, I ended up with these. I put them onto this little spindle here, as so. Put them on a nut, put them into my shopsmith, and just sanded them. So then I made 4 to get 2 good ones. And so I have these 2 wheels. They came out nice and straight, nice and sanded. These dowels, let me show you the bad one here. So I drilled the hole first into a V block, right? And I got that good and straight. But then cutting the flat I got a little wonky. So this thing is way crooked. Can't really tell there. But it didn't work really well. So I had to make another one. Again, you make a couple to get two that you want to keep. That's this one. Keeping that one. Keeping that one. Now these, like I said, I'll cut that off and get that smooth. This goes into this fairing like this. And then that gets glued to the bottom of the wing. Roly, roly. Plane's coming together. So I'm making the front of the propeller. There's like a little cone that goes on the front. I drilled out the end of this 1-inch dowel. It's a little bit off center, but I'm going to try to square it up. But I drilled it the same size as I want to keep. I marked how far I want to go. This is how deep the hole is. I don't want to go beyond that because it'll mess up. It'll reveal the hole. So I'm just going to press fit this down into there. So now that I have this piece basically done, I have the painting that I want done. I've glued on the exhaust, the machine guns. I've more importantly drilled for this air intake, for the propeller shaft, and for these side-by-side holes for the machine guns. So I took off the little block that was on here. Right. I've been using this to keep everything straight and flat. Done with that now. So I just need to finish this and then I can start gluing this aircraft together. Let's go.